Well, hey everybody, my name is Jared Malott, and I'm here with my good friend Mateo Caliz, and this is the Coltist, episode 45, aka the EJ Speed episode, the Tarleton State prospect,
Carlson State. We were just talking about that. I don't
fifth
know if
round draft
you.
pick.
Yeah, I remember that draft. Like
He really
thinking, oh
stood out on film.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I remember like the story around him. Like he was a Division 1 prospect, I believe, and he came back home to be
Clemson.
close to his brother.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what was the deal going on with his brother, but I remember he was going through some tough times,
Yeah,
and he came back to Tarleton State to be close to his brother.
right.
And he's been showing up this year for the Colts. I think he's been stellar in run defense. I can remember of the top of my mind, like 3 or 4 stops he got on fourth down that
Hmm.
were key. Like
Yep,
he's been clutch. He's been getting snaps. He's been getting plays. And he's a good guy to have on the team, special teams,
right.
contributing also. So yeah, great guy.
Yeah, and definitely worthy of an episode title. And so. As we obviously, when it comes to EJ Speed, one of the things that I remember is he really stood out on film, and you knew like, oh, that was the Division 1 prospect because he was tearing it up. And then, like you said, he's come to the Colts, and he's kind of showing out here. And the thing about EJ Speed is that I saw, how did I say that? I saw in Darius Leonard. I saw that in EJ Speed earlier because he played. So this is something to think about. I'm trying to get into coaching, right? Um, and I don't want to say too much, so I'm going to bite my tongue about a lot of things going on in the background. So keep that in mind. Not everything that you don't ever always play all your cards to the table, right? But as I sort of get into this game, one of the things that I want to point out is if you think you got it and you think that I'm going to be a professional football player no matter what, don't be afraid to go stand out at a D2, D3 school because you could stick out like a sore thumb on some film, like a EJ Speed did at Tarleton State, where you see him and you're like, whoa, that guy is way too big, moving way too fast. What is
Yeah,
happening? Like he's so much bigger, so much faster than everybody else, and I feel he sticks out like a sore thumb. And that's probably what also got him drafted. And he was a fifth round draft pick, played Division FCS, which is like fringe Division 1. Um,
yeah.
and probably because of the rise of a guy like EJ Speed or the proclivity of a kid to stay home. Obviously in the last few years with all that's going on. Um, so yeah, certainly I think it's an exciting time because first of all, this is sort of uncharted territory for me as a sports fan. I'm not used to potentially having lottery picks or top 10 draft picks in
Yeah.
both professional sports uh, ever. That's never gotten to happen here. Um, and I'm not saying that for any other reason than like it's about to. If I may. Um, For those of you that haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And if you like this content, you should like it so other people see it. But one of the things that I've been thinking about is, I don't, is Matt Ryan's career over?
Yeah, I
And
think he retires.
I say
I
that
honestly
to
think he
say,
retires.
let's have that conversation independent of what happened today. So I want to have those independently. Is that okay? I think
Yeah,
people
sure.
that listen to us that do actually listen to it would appreciate if those are two independent conversations, right? So first, is Matt Ryan out of it? Like, is he out of gas? Like when you
Yeah,
watch
I
him, are
think
you like,
yeah, I
oh,
think
he's
he
done?
is. I mean, he's shown some good things. I think the lack of an offensive line really hurt him.
Yes,
But it reached the point where, it's what is he like 39, 38?
something
I
like
mean,
that.
it's not like, yeah,
My
he
age.
doesn't have, yeah, he's been taking a beating this year.
Yeah,
I
been
mean,
a tough year.
I would like to see him, play like, for example, it would have been nice if, like the 49ers traded for him like earlier this year when he was benched initially, and now he could be starting on a good team with weapons, with a playoff caliber team. Then it would be nice to watch him. Like seeing him in a Colts uniform, it was just hurtful to watch. He
Yeah,
made some good plays, like The one I can remember is like the game winning touchdown to Alec Pierce against the
Hmm.
Jaguars earlier on this season. He made some nice plays, but we talked about this a lot earlier. Like, and this is a topic that I feel like we bring up a lot. You can't play the quarterback position if you're not an athlete. Like, you need to be able to move around.
Hmm.
At least, I'm not saying the all 32 quarterbacks in the NFL have to be fast like Lamar Jackson, but you have to be able to move. You have to be able to make those throws on the run, be uncomfortable. Matt Ryan can't, and that's why I think he doesn't have it anymore.
You either have to be an athlete or you have to know where you're going with the ball pre-snap or process very quickly and get the ball out very quickly. And the bottom line is there are not 32 people in the world that can do that at a high level.
Yeah,
And I've said this. I was talking to my boss earlier today about it. This has been the worst. I think we've just hit the low point in football. If I may, I just want to lay this out on the table and say, hey, this is what we just went through in a 24-hour period. Both the winningest and another top five winningest NFL football programs took their worst losses in NFL history in back-to-back days. I don't know if you thought about that, but the Patriots were winning 31 nothing and got beat
yeah,
24
he
hours
got beat. Yeah,
24 hours after the Colts were winning 33 nothing and got beat. Um, so something to think
yeah.
about.
That Patriots game was fun to watch, though.
Yeah.
That
Hey,
last play was fun.
hey. Fortunately for Colts fans, when the Patriots lose, it's like a good feeling for you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But in this case, it's a shared misery because to me it illustrates a sort of low point in the NFL that I really feel like we are, and I think we've crossed the threshold now where I am a firm believer that there's someone like Tom Brady in the NFL, and then everyone else better be an athlete. And I say that because it's about how fast that ball comes out of your hand, who it goes to, and what happens after they catch it. And unless you know what's going to happen, and which no, not very many quarterbacks have that credibility. Everyone else just better be a freak of nature, better be an athlete, better have something going
yeah,
on. So I've been doing a little research because I've wanted to talk about it. People want to talk about quarterback. I coach quarterback, play quarterback, scout quarterback, about to coach for real quarterback. But we'll just keep our mouth shut about that for now. And one of the things I could tell you is like what were we looking for in a quarterback? I just want to because we're gonna have to pick one, and we're half to
yeah,
gonna spend a first round draft pick on a quarterback. So I just want to know what when you look for a quarterback and you're like, what am I trying to find, right? What am
yeah. I
I looking
mean,
for in a prospect? What are you
when
looking
we're
for?
watching film or like tangibles or intangibles.
I like numbers, things people can think about, conceptualize, understand. I come with loaded questions, right? So I want you to take time to think about it. I'll lay out my points while you think about it. I think that when I look at a prospect like Andrew Luck, for example, 6'4", 230 is a big boy. 4'6", 740 is a moving. Completed 70% of his passes in college at 6'4", 230, running a 4'6", 740 at Stanford. Okay. Wins and losses don't matter. His GPA don't matter. None of those things. That's not why you pick the quarterback. So no, 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 no. 40-yard dash. It's completion percentage and it's height and weight and like functional, physical, like what capabilities do you have? And people are going to ask, like, hey, who do you think the Colts should take a quarterback? And I think, if I may, Andrew Luck's one of the highest rated quarterback prospects ever. And if I think I'm trying to pick a first round draft pick quarterback, not picking first overall, I have two things to say about this class. And the first that is that the Colts won't be picking the first quarterback in the class. And I'm
Nah.
okay with that because I think the guy they have going first overall is too small and he's going to get injured and he's going to have a little bit of problems in the NFL because of his size.
So we are assuming Bryce Young
Is
goes number
5'11",
one.
195, not going to have a 15-year career in the NFL. No, too small, not fast enough. Last I saw 4'8", 540, and he's not a runner. So
Yeah.
the reason I say that is, again, we don't have to worry about that. So for before anyone says anything to me, you're gonna have to eat crow, but he's going first overall. He's going to a terrible franchise again. I'm gonna be right. You don't have to worry about him. He ain't coming here. And then when I look at about anyone else, I think there was three people that I had seen where I was like, okay, anyone around a 4.740 completes about 70% of their passes. And people aren't gonna like it. And if we get any comments, just understand I'm not emotionally attached to any of these. These are based on data. CJ Stroud, um,
Yeah, I
six
like
three,
him.
6'3", 215, 4.65, 40, completed 66% of his passes. So you just hope he learns to rely on the check down a little more and is a little more accurate with the football, but otherwise checks all the boxes athletically, both size and speed, right? So I like him. He would be the second overall rated quarterback prospect by Walter Football. So I feel like I'm speaking with a little bit of credibility when I say like we don't have to worry about, hey, before anybody ever has a word to say about Bryce Young, hey, guess what? According to Walter Football, he's the first overall prospect at quarterback, and there's like a 99% chance he'll be gone before we ever see him. So we don't have to worry about it. I just don't believe that we will. Somebody else will take a stab at that, and that's because teams are not good at picking this player. So Stroud, I'm fine with. I would be happy with. You can build around him. Uh, I don't think Levis, and here's
Yeah, I
why.
don't.
6'3", 230. So I think he's a little heavy. And then 4'7", 540. If it was 4'7", I could be talked into this. He's a decent athlete. 4'7", 5 almost tells me like that sounds fake. And then he completed 65% of his passes. So I think that he is a project quarterback and that he's going to take time to develop, and that's not what you need at 7. You need a Josh Allen. You need a guy who can step in and do it today. I don't know that that's Levis. And then let's see here. Not
Anthony
Tanner McKee.
Richardson has to
Anth
be next.
6'4", 236 with a 4.5 40. So he's a super intriguing physical prospect, right? So he has to be like what our number 3. Um, I wouldn't be upset with this because he also completed
Yeah.
a high percent of his passes. Also, so goes Richardson, Jaden Daniels, 6'3", 185. The only problem, 485, 4.85 40, according to Walter Football, is makes him a little bit less of an intriguing athlete, but he's 6'3" and a stick. So he reminds me a little more of like a Jared Goff, um, which again isn't necessarily
Isn't necessarily bad. Not
not
good
necessarily
either.
bad, not good either. Not what you want at 7 though. Spencer Rattler, 6'2", 205 with a 4.6 40. Now a little slight at 6'1", 205, so he's a little smaller of a character. 4.6 though tells me he is a good athlete, and 67% completion percentage tells me
Yeah.
like he's pretty accurate actually. So like, then again, probably not the pick at this point. So I'm just saying, like as I go through like the 5 or so guys that I'm gonna probably just maybe like one other guy here that I'll maybe talk about that kind of passes like a low bar, and then watch the combine. And I want everybody to think about this because again we are getting the benefit of being like we're gonna be picking high. People are gonna end up watching this shit. So when you're going back and you're looking at these quarterbacks, understand it is the sum of all things, right? But up to this point, what data do we have to go off? What these handful of players do we expect to be able to draft this pick? We can't look at the first overall quarterback prospect. He's gonna be gone. And then from there, there's
Yeah.
like a handful of guys you may get a shot at. Somebody's going to trade up and get ahead of you and get a guy, and then you're going to be left with this bing, bing, bing. These 3 guys here. I guarantee one of them guys is going to be your starting next year. Well, the thing about quarterback in the NFL. Like people have been asking lately. I've seen it on social media a lot. What how did you know Ryan Leaf wasn't going to be a good quarterback in the NFL? Can you answer that question? Because I feel like I can answer this question. Do you know why? I think it's very easy. What was his
And if yeah,
completion percentage in college?
was it like 58, 57?
55. Like, what were we talking about? Like, there are guys in this class that complete above 65% of their passes and aren't going to cut the mustard in the NFL. What the fuck are we talking about with Ryan Leaf? Like, look at his stats in college. What were we looking at? He wouldn't even be considerable as a draftable prospect in this class based on those baseline statistics. He's not that athlete, and he did not have a high completion percentage. It's like, what were we looking at before the data really mattered, right? Because I'm saying, as I go through these prospects and I'm thinking about picking at 7 and maybe getting a generational talent, like let's see, not I'm not on this Jaron Hall. He's 6'1", 205 with a 4.8 40. He's not that good of an athlete. 4.8 is slow, I feel like. And he completed 66% of his passes. So like again, like he could play, and I'm sure he'll be fine. But that's not elite. Um, and then Duggan, 6'2", 210, 4.60, 65% of his passes. Again, a little smaller, but an athlete at 4.60 and 65% of his passes is pretty dang good. Again, not that generational talent. I think Hendon Hooker was the one where I was like,
Yeah, that
hey,
was intriguing. Yeah, tore
he's
his
kind of
ACL.
intriguing. He tore his ACL though, which again is not something that you really want. Um, and so that's I could see. Are you ready to bite this bitter pill? If there is a really good left tackle, I could see you taking him and taking a shot at Hannah Hooker in the top of round two. Um,
Yeah, we have the Northwestern tackle, Peter Skoronski, I believe. Skoronski, I don't know how to pronounce it. I still don't think they go tackle, basically because Bernard Raymond has been bowling out these past few weeks, and he just spent,
I was
what
gonna
was it,
say
like
we haven't really heard much about him.
yeah, he's been playing well. He hasn't allowed that many pressures. He's been good, and he has been like he had some tough matchups. So that's why I don't think the Colt. I mean, it all depends on, like, first of all, before the quarterback comes, I'm more intrigued about who's going to be the head coach, because I don't think Jeff Saturday is going to be coaching this team next season.
No, and then
They're like,
I
okay,
until I get some truth, I'm off anybody anybody that didn't Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay at this point. Um, I want Matt Ryan to say I gave these games away because I was instructed to, and that this team was looking to draft the heir to Andrew and Peyton. I'm just a bridge quarterback. I was brought in here on the tail end of my career. I'd kind of had to let go of going to the gym. I got too many kids, and they're getting to that point in their education where I really got to be a little more present. So I'm gonna have to be a little less present as a quarterback, but still like in that role. I'm gonna go out there and try to play as well. And I feel like I'm telling exactly phone calls you guys have had, right? Where I'm saying like I can't be as involved as I want to be because of the age of his kids now, and it's kind of perfect. You can come here, the expectations aren't high. And I want to remind
yeah,
everyone, even though Bernard Raymond's been playing well, he's still a rookie, and this is like his third year ever playing football. So
yeah,
while he's now sort of catching his breath and winning some of these reps against some of these pass rushers, that's far too late for an aging quarterback. Um,
yeah,
and
not good enough.
and I think that he can take enough hits that it makes him gun shy, and that
Yeah,
gets him even in more trouble. And while he didn't uh, turn the ball over, didn't at least didn't fumble it last week, um, it's like the losses showed you what having an older quarterback does. They run out of stuff and when they just don't have much in the bag. And that really is felt like there with the lack of protection all season long, league wide, and then those games were sort of like the low points where games were over. There were fans that were like, "I got to work tomorrow." Like This is lopsided. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously got home. We're like, oh, and I get there's no sympathy for them people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like, it's bad football, and it's like thinking about, I've had this conversation before about calling plays on offense and whether you should script it or you should call it live, right? And because every play is independent, every down and distance is going to be independent. You never know really what's going to happen. Um, and that some very successful coaches were scripted into like the full length of the overtime period. And you think about a team like the Colts where really I just feel like we don't have much of a playbook at all. Like we run out of stuff and we're going back to stuff we've already run, and teams are picking up on it and shutting it down, you know?
Yeah, we don't
And
have
and
like,
we're
yeah.
I've coined a new term, eye hopping, inside handoff probably. I hop, right? I feel like
Yeah.
that's what the Colts offense turns into, an IHOP offense where they have absolutely no downfield game at all. The receivers aren't even running downfield routes. Most of their routes are short and in breaking. When they do pass, they're trying to get the ball out quick. They're trying to do the best they can, and failing. But they're an IHOP offense. They're an inside handoff, probably first and second down, and try to pass on third down. Do whatever you can
Yeah,
to.
trying to get, yeah, running
Yeah.
like very basic and
RRP, baby.
simple. Yeah, basic and simple, schemes. They aren't doing anything great. I think if you ask me, this team, is in mode, like it's in preservation mode. Like, yeah, we are going
Yes.
to lose. Let's just forget about what happened this year and
Thank
let's
you.
just start focusing. When we get our guy to be the head coach. Jeff Saturday probably, filled in the job as a favor to Jim Irsay.
And to Frank Reich.
Right. Yeah,
But
and to Frank, he's filling in
because here's what
those.
was going to happen, fellas. If you don't fire Frank Reich, he has to eat all these losses. That really ain't his problem. It's not his fault that your offensive line regressed like it did. It's not his, it's not, that's not, I mean, I get it ultimately just yesterday. It is on him. It is his fault. But like, no, you can't help that your offensive line regressed and you got an aging quarterback. And I think the league is changing. I think that you have to have an athlete at quarterback that is also a two-way player.
Yeah,
Literally,
now
I'm
more
I'm
than ever.
calling for it. I'm saying like, no, if you want to win these games, what has to happen is you have to be able to go run stopped, second and long. You can't run it now. You got to pass, and then that pass gets you nil, and then it's third and long, and then you win with the quarterback's legs. I'm saying it. I'm saying it out loud. I'm telling you now, if your team is going to win in November, December, January, your quarterback has to be able to win on third and long with his legs. I didn't say like get the first down or score, but he can't do it on a straight drop back. He ain't three-step drop throwing a stop route and hitting that on third down. It's not happening in the
Yeah.
NFL. These guys are on your body. Okay. So if you know that's coming, you got to coach to that. And again, I'm saying these teams aren't coaching to the tendency, right? Remember this when I tell you before Carson Wentz was signed to the Colts, I was like, oh, I wonder how good he is on the run, because I saw on NFL Network, which is what my TV to my left that you can see the lights blinking, is glued on NFL Network. They had just run this expose about how 67% of passes were completed outside the pocket. And you're thinking like, oh, so hey, this next generation of quarterback, whoever from that moment forward in my eyes, oh, you got to be able to throw on the run. Got to be able to make plays on after play breaks down. That's got to be your best skill. And if that's not your best skill, that guy's not winning you games when shit breaks
Yeah.
down and when your protection breaks down, he's running for his life and he has no legs, And a lot of it is physical conditioning. And I feel like if you're gonna draft a quarterback, you gotta draft an athlete because he raises the floor of the athletes in the
Yeah,
building
what
now.
you can do.
Because
Yeah.
you know what I want? I want whichever quarterback does the bench press at 225 and says, no, 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 keep the plates on there. I got that. and then reps out 225 too, and runs like 70% of their passes, and has that bench too, right? Because that person was prepared for today, right? That tells you that they're going to be ready on game day. That's what I think. Is that
Yeah.
if you get an athlete in there that's like a gym rat, he'll turn the rest of the team out. Because people get jacked up when the quarterback is an athlete. Um, and especially now with the rise of the athlete at quarterback, um, which is it's no surprise that it's also the rise of the black quarterback. And when you look at the winning quarterbacks in the NFL right now, it's like largely black kids, black athletes. Who'd have thunk, right? Once you got over that hype, now it's all like now who's the best quarterbacks in the game, you know? I mean, yes, there's Josh Allen, right? And
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins keeps hanging around, right?
Yeah.
But on the whole, like when you look at and Jared Goff is in a wonderful system, right? He's got an organization building. I've gushed on the Jets and Lions all year outside the Colts, and look at both those organizations are around floating around 500, flirting with the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, one of the things that I was talking about with my wife the other day about how do you feel with the Colts being like 4-9-1? Does it like affect you? And I decided this a long time ago. It was about a decade ago, actually, where I obviously don't drink anymore, so I'm not alcohol dependent. But there was a period in my life where like my level of happiness was absolutely determined externally by like the success or failure of these sports organizations that I root for, the Colts and Pacers. But I've been over that now a decade now. So it
Yeah.
makes life a lot easier to detach. This isn't a job I hold. I don't work for those companies. So I can
Yeah,
absolutely
your
say,
life doesn't hold, your life won't change because the Colts.
nah, no, I don't own any stock in that. They're not publicly traded. I'm not invested. I'm invested in the idea that I absolutely I still I saw the Colts are expecting to retain Chris Ballard. I'm for that. I feel like the dude's been pretty good at his job. Um, to your note, like I don't think Jeff Saturday's the guy, and when it all comes down, it'll be somebody
Yeah,
else.
no.
And I largely don't care who that is. Like it could just be anyone else. Make him a good decision maker, though. Make it a person that's made good decisions on the field. I want to see it. I want it to be measurable, right? Where you're like, this guy's had this success at this level doing this, or maybe it's a promotion. I don't care, but I just don't think it's Jeff Saturday. Here's a couple of examples. There's been like a timeout and a challenge where you're like, ooh, you should have taken a timeout. You know what I mean? Ooh, that was a rookie mistake. Like I can remember the Matt Ryan run on the third down. It was like 3rd and 17, and Matt Ryan scrambles and makes it like 4th and inches, and you like need to go for that. Rip a timeout here. It's good for us. Instead of the clock runs down, they run the play, runs a ton of clock, right? And I think they end up not
Yeah,
getting
rookie
it.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, rookie mistake, right? Hopefully. And it's like how many games does he get to coach before you stop calling rookie mistakes? Or does he get the job, coaches next year, and then we're calling it, well, actually, this is his rookie year. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah, I
that
don't think, yeah, I
I think
certainly don't
you have to
think he's
grade
going to get the
him pretty
job.
harshly here, because I feel like the Colts are that bad that these situations are that obvious, right? And I hate to be like that, but I felt like the team's been so bad that they're so good thing dependent, right? Good thing or bad thing dependent. If bad things happen, it's the worst thing, at least more bad things. The good things are great, and they lead to more great things. That's what it feels like for the Colts. It's very like it just bipolar is a good
Yeah.
term for the Colts is and obviously it's a change from slow starts, being down early, having to chase down every opponent from behind, which is what they'd been doing under Frank Reich. And then now you've got Jeff Saturday. And again, I think a lot of it has to do your attitude matches your leadership. Well, so I can imagine that a 30-something-year-old Jeff Saturday, former NFL player, has a lot of energy to start a football game. And he's real loud and he's saying the right things and he's jazzing these younger kids up, right? when they run out and they're balling out, the Colts get a jump out to a lead, right? It's because like the lead man is fired up, saying the right things. But he ain't on no Jarrett's Hall. So that shit don't last the whole game. And then like the third
Yeah,
quarter,
you
the
need.
second half, he starts to lose his wind. And he don't quite got it because that's not what he's used to. He's not having, yeah, he used to having to be a vocal leader for all three sides of the ball for an entire football game. And beyond just barking out what position group I need, you're calling for help because this guy's injured, shit. Like you're basically running triage. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's Jeff Saturday. I'm glad it's not Frank Reich because again, I think it
Yeah,
just further it muddies his career. And
yeah,
this is at this point, it's beyond him, right? Like you brought somebody else in and they're doing even worse, right? Right?
yeah, yeah.
Not,
You
or
just
not
know.
even worse,
Yeah, not his
just as
fault.
bad. But yeah, so yeah, just to get those thoughts out of the way, because I know a lot of people had been hitting me up like Colts questions, question mark, question mark, question mark, like what the fuck? Um, and of course, to top it all off, before we switch gears and talk about the Pacers, uh, the Colts play the Cowboys, or not Colts play the
The
Cowboys,
Chargers.
play the
The Chargers.
Chargers on Monday Night Football. Um, and I think that it's the perfect sort of send off, right? Because you got a couple games after that, right? But Jim Irsay asked for this. And now you're going to get ground out by the Chargers.
Yeah,
Um,
probably at home.
but this is what you wanted, though, right? This is you wanted primetime football. And then it's just 4-10-1, my man.
Yeah, most likely.
Most likely. And then as we sit here recording this podcast on Wednesday, December 21st, 2023, it's about 8 o'clock. The Pacers are playing the Celtics right now. It's about less than
Yeah,
2 minutes left in the first quarter. Pacers are up 33-17, so it's going to be looking like a good night.
yeah.
Um,
Hopefully, my brother is a Celtics fan, so hopefully
oh,
we
of
can
course.
get the win. And my best friend's also a Celtics fan,
Okay, it is a
but
good
he's a
organization.
bandwagon. So yeah, he's a bandwagon. So not giving him too much credibility, but yeah, just checking the Halliburton has 12 and 4, Miles has 7, Buddy Hield has 8. Hmm, yeah,
Ooh, that was a nice move. Nice, nice follow up. But no, to switch gears, let's talk about the Pacers a little bit. The Pacers now 15-16 after starting off hot. Remember the last time, or at least the last couple podcasts ago, they were like 12-8. They're headed on this long road trip. They'd gotten a win, had a couple L's. Um, they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. They've lost two in a row. Obviously, they're up tonight over the Celtics on the road. Um, but again, a very young team. And it feels like all those clickbait articles that I see on Twitter, which is what's left of Twitter, is the looming Colts trade or Pacers trade, where the Pacers are gonna move some pieces.
yeah,
And I think that it's a matter of changing their rotations a little. I think I want as much scoring power on the floor as possible. And this is evidenced, in my opinion, by these superstar teams, these Brooklyn Nets, with their Kyrie Irving, and keep in mind, this is what was the intent: Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin
Kevin
Durant,
Durant.
right? And so now it's Kyrie, Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant. Fine, any one of these guys can have one of their nights, and as long as anyone else on that team has a remotely efficient night, you're going to be fine. The Pacers, in my eyes, in Ben Matherin, have a starter level player whose baskets are frequently not him being um, the center of the offense. He's getting follow-up buckets, putbacks, being near the basket. He's an attentive basketball player. I get it. He's a rookie. Maybe his success is somewhat determined by who he's playing against, right? Like playing against other backups. And sure, but I think he's a good enough athlete, and he's shown
Yeah,
himself enough off the bench. And the Pacers are middling enough. 3-7 in the last 10, losers are the last two, right? It it might be a good idea to start the rook. Obviously I want as much stats on the floor at the same time as possible, and I want to see what that looks like together. And I don't think the Pacers have done that. And I get it. I'm wrong. I'm not in the NBA, ain't coaching. What they're doing is clearly better, right? Um, but and I get it. Duarte had been out injured, and he's back now. I see, and
yeah,
obviously
he's back.
throughout the course of the season, you're going to have your ups and downs and your injuries. Um, so I get all of those things, but um, when I watch this team play, if it's like 80% of their team is on the floor to start, and 20% of it's on the floor at some point, right? And you're like, why not just put 100% of it on the floor to start, and then try to be scrappier on
Yeah,
with your second
yeah,
unit,
get your yeah,
and I get it. Uh, he's very young, and I get it. When I say it, that's like the argument against, like, the reason he's not is because he's a rook, and he's in his first 30 games or so as an NBA player, and he's just been coming off the bench at this point, and he's getting a lot of buckets, and it's building a lot of confidence. But I think, around 30 games in is a good time to kind of make changes. I don't think they're expected to beat Boston on the road, who I really like, by the way. I think it's actually kind of funny that
yeah.
you got would you say, your brother and your best friend?
We have a 20-point lead after the after the first quarter.
That's wild, right? And watch them lose this game too, right? Like, 'cause that's just the Indiana teams
Yeah, the indie way.
lately. Oh, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I mean, it is the world we live in. So I think I don't think that the Pacers are gonna like lose out here and be like a 30 game winning team, and like that would be them going like 30-50. I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, but obviously something's got to change here, because this last 10 or so games is not a good look.
Yeah, not a good look.
Because if you take that out, 16 and 16, 3-7 in their last 10, that makes
Yeah, they were
them
12-9.
like 12-9. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
12
they
and
were
9.
like, it's an unforgiving league, man. I just, you don't have as much time on the floor with the best unit possible.
Yeah,
Um, and again, maybe the Pacers as an organization think they need another potential
yeah,
top
another
10
guy
pick
to bring. Yeah,
to be like playoffs first year. And then maybe Matherin is the guy in that next year that can carry, while you got that other guy behind him.
yeah, with him and
Um,
Tyrese. Yeah,
it's crazy though, as a Pacers fan, somebody who watches the NBA all the time, to watch Duarte versus Brogdon, because it's like Duarte was brought in to replace Brogdon.
yeah, no,
Now they're playing against each other, and one's in Boston. Obviously, oh, yeah, he was not open. That's another thing. That's how I know it's still room for me in sports. I see a lot of players taking bad shots, and I find the teams that win in basketball are the least selfish. Um, and that's not to coach someone to be exceedingly selfless. Um, again, that wasn't an open shot. Like, if I sit here and watch this for 1 minute, that guy was not open when he took that. The guy was not open when he took that. And I think that, oh, that guy was open, but that's not the ideal shooter, right? So if you're not the first ideal shooter and you catch that, why wasn't his gut instinct to ball fake look for a shooter, right? Especially with these as much like help and as uh stat dependent defensively these teams are, where there are teams that they will jump out on, and there are teams that will just leave you that guy wide open and shoot and let him shoot all night, right? So I do understand at some point you just got to have every player out there is capable of pulling the trigger and hitting. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting time to be a
Yeah, to be
Pacers fan.
yeah, more Pacers than the Colts.
Yeah, Colts are ultimately the beatings are going to continue no matter what. So they still have 3 games left in this season. Um, and then basically, so that'll put us what? They're done middle of January.
Yeah, season ends. Yeah, I believe it's.
It's almost like 9 full months till you see them again. It's tough, man. If you don't go to the playoffs, man, you don't see your team for a while.
Yeah.
But But
Wow.
like we
Wow.
said, because that's what Jim Irsay wanted. They got Monday night against the Chargers, right? Yep. Then nice little right off into the sunset. And obviously we didn't really talk about that, but Nick Foles got named the starter.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully, either way, I think we win because he either gets some of that magic like he had with the Eagles, and he pulls off the win out of nowhere. Just I think I can say how confident I am on Nick Foles doing that. Like the only thing I need to say is that I'm starting the Chargers defense in all my fantasy leagues. Like I'm
oh yeah.
streaming them and starting them because I have like I could be wrong. Like hopefully I'm wrong. I have no faith at all. Like no Jonathan Taylor, no.
No
Like
Jonathan
I don't
Taylor.
think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be close. I don't think Nick Foles is gonna be able to pull off some rabbit out of the hat and put up like I don't know 30 points, 27 points. Like I think it's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, I think if you really want to talk about it, the Colts like best players are now out, right?
Yeah,
Darius Leonard, Kenny Moore, Jonathan Taylor, Matt Ryan. That's probably your 4 best offensive players.
yeah, and yeah,
Um,
most important also.
so yeah, so obviously we kind of switched back to talking about the Colts, but we say all of it to say like I of course love this. This is far more interesting than middling.
Yeah, I
How about
I
that?
hate I hate middling. The thing with me with my sports team, I'm like you either are going to suck to get good picks, get good talent, get good guys here, clear that cap space, or you're going all in. Like middling in sports to me is like there is no sense in that. Like there is no point in that. Your ultimate goal always has to be building a team that can fight for the title.
Right.
Middling won't get you that. Middling won't get you there.
No.
So it's nice, at least watching the two teams that I love. The Pacers, like they embraced the tank, so to speak.
Yeah.
They got Maturin out of it, and it looks like things are trending up. Then the Colts, it looks like they finally realized like you can't win like with a bridge quarterback every single time. Like you need your guy for the next 10 to 15 years, and they are now making that effort to get the guy to be in a position to get the guy. So yeah, it's a entertaining time for the future. Like I wanna like fast forward 5 years, see
Hmm.
what we got out of this. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm gonna enjoy the ride, and it's not like
Right.
it's just like I'm curious. What are we going to end up on?
Yeah. There's been a lot of years of letdown, a lot of years of woulda, coulda, shoulda. We were
Yeah,
right there. Blah, 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 blah. Obviously like the last 5 years or so. Um, ever since I've come to Stampede Blue, they've been under the Frank Reich regime. So I'm excited as we close out this year. It is of course exciting when your team gets to play on Monday night, right? It's unfortunate, of course, that the Chargers have good pass rush. The Colts now have a good offensive line, and then the Colts defense has been sporadic, and Herbert's no joke. So I think
Yeah.
The Colts are in for trouble. And hey, if they go out and get a win too, that doesn't surprise me either. And that's a terrible thing to do, is to be winning when
Yeah,
losing
winning. Yeah.
helps you. Losing is
It's
actively helping you. And again, that's not you know, there are people that I know and that I played sports with when I was in school that probably watch my stuff and are like, I can't believe a guy I played sports with is like, okay, man, I'm not talking about a team I have something to do with. I'm talking I'm talking about these are the teams in the city I live. This is what is really happening. We're not, of course, cheering for that. I don't want a bridge quarterback.
yeah.
I don't want to be 500, barely making it in the playoffs, kind of trying to get there, rolling the dice. No, give me a bad year or two. Let me get a guy that we can build something around that we can try to
Yeah.
protect, you know. And if you can get that youthful, athletic quarterback that seems to make all those decisions when the play breaks down correctly, and you can help roll that and mature that into a drop back passer that has that innate ability to take off on you, um, that he just kind of keeps in check. It's like having a superpower. And that's what we're looking for. So when you're watching the bowl games and the Senior Bowl ahead, and we're looking ahead obviously to things like the combine, but these bowl games are what are ahead of us right here. When you're watching these games, what you're looking for is not only successful runs on design runs for quarterbacks, but when the quarterback gets in trouble, rolls out, has
You
to
know what
make a
it's doing.
play,
Yeah.
is he capable of making both the short, intermediate, and long passes on the run? And then can he tuck it and run and get you yards without him taking damage? So without putting his body at risk. And for the record, I've also had this conversation about what happened to Andrew Luck. Why did Andrew Luck retire? Why was Andrew Luck hurt so often? And that's because he played with reckless abandon and that he did not have any sense of self-preservation. And that is something that you also want to be able to watch for, is a conscious quarterback who is aware of what's and thinking about what's ahead of you. There's guys that have dipped out on playing in the bowl games. There are guys that are definitely playing in the bowl game, like a Stroud, like a number 1 overall pick has said, I'm getting another opportunity to play with my guys. I'm going out there and playing, right? That guy is a guy that's going to get picked number 1 overall. You don't have to worry about it. He did it for himself, right? And then again, like I said, that's not who the Colts are going to end up with anyway. So you don't even have to worry about it. But it'll be fun to watch, and
Yeah.
you're getting a real good glimpse of why. And then I also want to remind you the Colts like players that play in the Senior Bowl. So that's a big deal for us because that has an impact on the Colts that does not necessarily affect other teams. There are other teams in the NFL that don't really pay attention to the Senior Bowl. They don't draft off that. And same thing with the combine. Combine matters to a lot of teams. Doesn't matter to everybody. Not everybody
Yeah.
drafts like that, which is weird. But hey, fortunately, I think that regardless of what has happened this year with the head coach, with the quarterback situation, I still like the overall direction of the franchise. And until people start noping out, and when people start noping out on you, uh, being out for the season due to injury is one thing. Being out for not want to be a part of it, right? Is what we're trying to avoid. Uh, but yeah, here with the Pacers
Yeah.
up big here,
Hmm.
20 points with 6 minutes
Hopefully they can
left
keep. Yeah.
in the
Hopefully they can
second
keep.
quarter. Let's get out of here, man. It's been episode
Yeah.
45 of the Cultist here the week of Christmas 2022. Uh, we'll record a episode next week, between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Um, enjoy the time with your families and enjoy all this holiday football that's coming up. It's nothing but it
Yeah.
for like the next week straight. It's gonna be awesome. And stay safe out there. As weather is going to be absolutely crazy here in the Midwest part of the United States. Is going to get super cold and super bad weather. So everybody, please stay inside, stay warm and dry. Change your socks. If your gloves get wet, you gotta dry them shits out. Try not to be outside with cold gear on because you're gonna get frost. That's how you get frostbite. Everybody always asks me because I was in the Marine Corps and I'm an Eagle Scout. Like, how do you not die in this weather? Uh, don't be out in this cold weather in wet clothes. And if your clothes are wet, you got to get inside, get them clothes dry. Then you can put it back on and dry yourself out too. You want to avoid being wet and cold. That's how you get sick, and that's how you get things like hypothermia and frostbite. So hey, be safe out there, and obviously Merry Christmas. And we'll see you after
Yeah.
next week's games, everybody.